sometimes I have to remind our guests not to move around papers before they start our radio show. Sometimes. And now we can catch you doing it live on our podcast. But anyway, Jody Bear is one of our most favorite people. We've been doing a radio show live for, I think it's been 7 years or so. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jody, you'll be able to catch us live. And we started to do this because there's a program that we have that can actually restream this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and a few other locations as well. So Jody sometimes asks, hey, can we do a live podcast? So on a Sunday night, many times we do both. We do 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll move that around during summer holiday or summer hours, I think. And then also we do this again, kind of like on the regular broadcast. So you'll always be able to go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Jody. But I'm going to be kind of brief on my introductions here. You know, we love Jody. She's a great person. She's worked a lot in the home-based business arena. She's just a fantastic individual. So I'm going to kind of step out of the way and let you guys see Jody. We have a lot of fun here. So we've, I don't see the Bob Bear vase anymore, the 2,000-year-old chick.
I wanted to stay married.
So there's Jody's husband. Yeah. And he had some archaeology stuff that she stuck some pink flowers in or some flowers in on the back. So it's great to see the dynamics here. So Jody, it's fun to be with you, and thanks for everything you do.
Yes, Peter, thank you for all you've done. Yes, it is coming up on our 8th year. It'll be 8 years in August that we've done this, and it's such a privilege to come here to our Building Fortunes radio and now podcast live stream just our audience, people that haven't really known us. And I just want to tell you something is very, very important. Stay tuned. We will be doing this sometime this week. There will be a notification on my Facebook page because we are bringing what has been a landmark decision. Never in my 67 years have I seen. And we've been following these 15 months with the plight, I would say, with Success by Health and how we've come through the different courts to the appellate court. And yes, we got the landmark decision from the Supreme Court on Thursday, 9-0. There was no dissenting argument written because there was none against the FTC. So not only will Robert Mailer, my absolutely awesome partner, colleague, and who is no stranger to Building Fortunes Radio, will be on our radio show at 8:30 on Sunday, but we will be doing a live podcast with Tyler Sherfield of the Sherfield 4. You know that you've seen Brooke doing the Kenny Kids t-shirt. Well, this is her brother-in-law, Tyler, one of the twins, who has created, if you want to see any of the latest information on this, and yes, we have one more round to get to the Senate, so the FTC can't plead innocence and get a new law passed after the Supreme Court says, no, this is illegal. So we're going to need your help. We're going to need your support. And this is why Tyler is going to be coming here. So go ahead and go to SBH, that's Sam Bravo Harry, ClassAction.com for all the details and see how you can get involved as American for Liberties. And of course, on the 15th of May, we are doing something that this is a 2.0 version. Yes, HOPE, our HOPE online event, which stands for Healing, Opportunity, Positivity, and Empowerment. And my guest here tonight is going to be a part of this 4-hour online event. It's going to be headlined by the legendary Les Brown, thought leader, and yes, the first coach who gave him his start, Tony Robbins, and also the first coach with Robert Kiyosaki, the none other than Rex Sykes. It's going to be an event of events. Why? Because Dionne Warwick might have called about, oh, all we need is love. Don't you need but? Before we have love, we need hope so we can create that amazing life in all 6 pillars of your life that we need. So I'm going to make my introduction. Yes, it's me, Health Coach Jody, and I'm going to make it brief tonight. But for those of you that don't know me, small town girl in Montana who came and found that her talent was that of classically trained as a pianist and vocalist. I emitted emotion so that I could take this outside of that small town in Montana, and I was able to take it all the way to the stages of the world, the opera houses in North America and Europe, with my voice and my keyboard talent. But health became my passion when my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic and liver cancer. Then I was a young married woman, 2 babies in diapers, and I became relentless. I'm going to ask you, what are you relentless about in your life today? If you could look at your life in reverse, what would you do? Because I'm going to come back to that question. What would you do? How would you be? And absolutely, what would you create in your life? Well, what I was able to create for my mother was length of life over 2.5 years, almost 3 years, well beyond her 6 weeks to live diagnosis. I was hooked. And I've been transforming people's lives holistically now for 40 plus years. And most recently, in my last decade, as I married into the 2,000-year-old vase and the archaeologist himself, Dr. Bob Baer, I have had the privilege of going into private practice again from the corporate world and having people lose over 800,000 pounds. We're coming up on 900,000 pounds of toxic fat. But we do it because transformation is an inside job. You've heard me talk about the spiritual pillar, and then there's the physical pillar. There is the mental pillar, and then it's emotional, social, and financial. But without that financial pillar, as I talk about it as being a health coach, that base chakra, you can't have the other 5 now, can you? So ask yourself, if I lived my life in reverse, what would I do? Where would I go and who would I do it with? Most people will say, if I just had more money. And our guest tonight, Kavette Minor-Kane, is no minor player in the financial services sector. She is a major player, and it is just my absolute delight and honor to have her here with us on Building Fortunes, not only podcast, but radio, because her title is that of a financial liberation consultant. Because it is a liberation when you have enough to do the things you want to go where you want to go, and to be what you want to be. But you need to be what you want to be. You need that money, which spells money. So let me just tell you a little bit about Kavette. Well, she is one that lives full out, full in the financial sector. I can truthfully say that she is a liberation expert. I've been privileged to be on her podcast previously, and I just went, oh my, if you just did those little things, you know how financial planners give us this complex thing, you said, I can never begin. No, she takes it one step at a time, and she empowers people. That's why she is going to be doing the opportunity word along with several other speakers at our Hope Seminar and our online event on the 15th of May. So Kavette is a financial liberation expert. She is the ambassador for self-worth, because it begins with you and then it goes to your attitude. And she does it as a proponent for women primarily and women's empowerment. Isn't that important? She guides women, guides them on their journey to self-sufficiency. Because when you're whole, you can be part of a bigger whole by educating them, as I said, to take back their financial power, to take back and support them in what they are going to do with the confidence then that they can empower others and in their purpose of life. She has created a trickle-out effect. A CEO and founder of Marimore Life. Don't you love that name? It just makes you feel merry. Think you can marry in to have merry and do it happily with more in life. Her mission is to elevate women worldwide with a better and a greater quality of life. And as an educator, a public speaker, and also an author, she does it all. And she shares this message of financial liberation through this transformational process that I have never seen, to be quite honest. And she incorporates all of these pillars into that emotional, mental well-being that is so important, so you can create those financial habits for a greater success in life, and yes, for the rest of your life. So welcome to my tribe with Peter and I on Building Fortunes podcast, and soon in about 45 minutes on Building Fortunes Radio. Cavette, you are just a ray of sunshine, like that yellow background that you have. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jody. You are an amazing, amazing woman. And I thank you so much for inviting me to join you here this evening. It's such an honor and absolutely a privilege. It was a privilege to have you on my podcast previously. And so thank you for welcoming me here as well. You have been an incredible influence, even in the short time that we've known each other. And I thank you so much for your encouragement and for the love that you've shown and for the wonderful successes that you've had, that you've shared with me and will continue to build on going forward in the future.
Oh, thank you. Not to mention that you're doing the master cleanse with the lemon juice. I thought maybe that was the yellow color in your background. But hey, I wore green for you today, for sure. So just bring our audience tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became to find this thing called financial liberation as your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, this is all about emotional intelligence and understanding how our emotions affect our money management. Because we're often, guided into making financial decisions based on how we feel. And paying attention to those feelings is absolutely critical so that we don't end up in a place where we are feeling regret and stress because we've spent our money in ways that we didn't necessarily plan ahead for. And so that's what this is all about, being able to make better decisions, being able to create better habits so that we can experience the quality of life that we truly desire and fulfill our purpose. And so as I do this, I reach out to obviously, women. My main audience is between the ages of 25 to 45 plus. And, I reach out to these women because these are the main transitional years for women. When we're moving from childhood to adulthood, we're going through different experiences with our careers, whether we're picking up family. Sometimes, of course, we have lost, we're grieving, we've lost a loved one. And even in my own case, where there's divorce and then there's entrepreneurship. So I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and I have absolutely been loving working for myself. Of course, I've worked here and there, in employment positions so that I could continue to fund my different businesses that I've worked, but I've worked businesses, including many products and services, and have enjoyed entrepreneurship. And so it's something that I want to be able to encourage for other women as well. And I can tell you a little bit about why I ended up back in the financial field. Okay, so I actually was a licensed life and health insurance agent back in 2010 for the first time. Stepped away from the insurance business for about 6 years or so with a partner at the time. I was married, and my husband made the decision that he wanted to leave our business. And so I followed along with him in that plan. Unfortunately, my husband and I, did not survive over the last 2 years in our marriage. We experienced a number of tragedies. And so in that process, I had to make some decisions in order to lift myself up. It was through those tragedies that was actually revealed to me the level of abuse that I was experiencing in my marriage. Yeah. Take a deep breath. Breathe in peace. Breathe out anxiety. Because it was challenging. I was actually married for over 19 years. And for the first 17 years of that marriage, we had our challenges, and I knew that things were not perfect. But I was determined that I was going to make my marriage work. And what I realized is that one person can't make that decision in a marriage, and so in that process, I was working to make sure that, my kids were able to have a stable family experience. I wanted them to have a father in the home, because for me personally, growing up, I didn't have a father. And so that was very significant for me, to provide for them that experience. And however, I realized that when you're in an abusive situation or in an abusive relationship, the best interest for your kids is what is in your own best interest, which is usually to get out when you realize that it's abusive. Yes. And that it's not going to be beneficial for yourself. It's not going to be beneficial for the kids either. And so, getting out of that kind of relationship is really going to be for the best interest of everyone involved. And so that's what I decided to do in 2018. Actually, I'm sorry, 2019. I was able to get outside of the relationship and actually look back to see the level of abuse that I was experiencing, because, oftentimes women who are in abusive situations don't even realize that they're being abused. Well, because it becomes a normal thing. It's familiar. And so you think that this is just kind of, how things go. But for me, I had the opportunity when my father passed away to leave that relationship for a short period of time. Even in that short period of time, there were some things that were revealed to me in his behavior and in his interaction with me, even from a distance, that was very concerning. And so I had to sit back and kind of, observe and pull things apart myself. And then, really choose, okay, is this something that I want to continue, to endure, or do I want to live my life to its fullest? Because none of us is promised another day, and my father's death brought that to the forefront. Yeah. My father's death brought that to the forefront for me. He was 66. Yeah, he was 66 when he passed away. He was very young, and so I know that my sister and I talked, and he didn't plan on retiring until he was 80, so he was working and he had his businesses and he was doing a great job. But unexpected things happen, and for me, I did not want some unexpected tragedy to come in terms of the end of my life without me having accomplished my purpose. And I knew that in that marriage, in that relationship, I would not be allowed to do what I needed to do in order to fulfill my purpose. And so I decided to take that leap and to move forward. It was actually a mutual decision at the time. And as I did that, it allowed me to reestablish a foundation for myself. But what I had to do, because the marriage was so challenging, there was nothing. I didn't have any finances or any funds to support me in that process. And so I had to start from ground zero and build up from there. And I had to figure out how to do that in the process.
And that's where I want to come in here and interject something that's off script. But ladies and gentlemen, not only is Cavett insurance, she has, all those alphabet letters that start with C, certified this, certified that. She's got it all there. But what I love about you, Cavett, besides all your degrees and certifications, that you have expertise. You have walked the walk, and now you're walking the talk of what you're talking about. You built it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there saying, COVID hit me hard. COVID hit me hard. I'm sitting here with like less than zero in a bank account. Cavett has a plan to build this up one level, 1% at a time. And this is totally off script, but I feel led to bring this in, Cavett, because I just loved the way you said, just save $1 a day. Because when I spoke about this in my opening, I said, if you lived your life in reverse, what would you do? Where would you go? And when you've heard me say, audience, that life is like a milkshake, choose your ingredients wisely. The ingredient of finances must be chosen like your daily green drink. So tell our audience about this $1 a day. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, I created the $1 a day challenge because I was trying to find a way to make saving money more fun. I think about how, one of the first ways that I learned about money was through playing the game Monopoly. And that is something I think most people, especially in the US, have had an opportunity to do more than enough as a kid. And so we talk about the Monopoly money and, what we can do with it. It teaches us about real estate and about money management and how we can invest our money or hold our money in order to put ourselves in a better position for our money to grow. And so that for me was absolutely the most essential principle to build upon. And so I think with savings, what happens a lot of time is people just, oh, I don't have any money to save. And so I said, well, regardless of how much you have, you can start with so little that you'll build upon it. And as you build each day in your savings, then what you're doing is you're building a new habit. And so out of that habit, you're able to reward yourself by looking back and seeing the progress that you're making, starting with small steps. Baby steps are steps to be made. And so we need to start with baby steps until we are able to make full strides. And so in the $1 a day challenge game, that I came up with, my encouragement is to save $1 a day and to start off with just 1 week. So you start off 7 days at a time. And for me, that came from observing the Kwanzaa principles. And so each day as you put your money to the side, then you're kind of able to focus in on, unity and community and determination and bringing yourself around for this concentrated focus on being able to build your wealth. And so you start with $1 the first day. Now, the catch is that you're not just saving $1 a day, because we want to encourage the compound effect as well. And so as you're saving for each day, you add on $1 for each day moving forward. And so within 7 days, then you've got $1 that you save on the first day, $2 that you save on the second day, $3 that you save on the third day, all the way up to the 7th day. And the challenge is that once you get to the end of the week, you get to start all over again. So it's kind of like, collect $200, go past go, do not go to jail, go past, go and all that fun stuff. But you get to start all over. And how that really rewards us is because sometimes people will feel like, oh, this is a lot, or, oh, I need to use that money for something else. But if it's just $7 that you're getting up to, that's, we spend that not even thinking, on a candy bar, soda, and so you go that first 7 days, and then before it gets to be too much for you, you can start over again. And I'm talking about folks who are on the average income level, those, and even below average income levels, those who are, making 30 and 40 and 50,000 a year. And sometimes even those on higher income levels, depending on if their expenses are meeting their income and they're not allowing themselves enough to save in that process. So this is a way to change your habits, to change your mindset so that now you can manage your money better.
That's that pillar. Change your mindset. Then you go in, and it's a physical action. That's a physical pillar. It goes right on in. It goes right on into the financial pillar. So we know that we got a reprieve. Tax season, May 15th, rather than April 15th of this year. But, and the thing that I hear a lot of people saying, a lot of my colleagues saying, I had to put a Band-Aid on last year in COVID in 2020. I'm starting over. What is the advice that you would give our listening and our viewing audience here? How do you put a Band-Aid on last year and plan for the future? Because I always say that the word one is spelled now backwards. So let's start with now.
Awesome. That's right. We start today so that we actually say that we've won once this time becomes the past. And so that's fabulous. I love that, Jody. But one of the things that I continue to encourage my audience as well as my clients is to make sure that you're taking an opportunity to do a personal review. You know, it is so significant for us to actually sit for a moment and recognize when we've had a loss and actually take an opportunity to grieve that loss. It's not about, wallowing in depression or, trying to make ourselves feel bad or focusing on the negative. What it is it's a reality check, because everything is not always sunshiny all the time. And the thing is, we're able to be conscious of when it's not, then we're able to shift our thinking so that we don't get caught up in that negativity and be pulled down by it. When we're conscious of how we're feeling and it's not great, we can mentally shift our thinking and say, you know what? I know that this happened. This is what happened to me. What had happened was, many people will say. But when you say that, then you can shift it to, this is what I'm going to make happen now. So what happened was, this, and this happened to me. But see, speaking from that perspective is very disempowering. It is very, it makes us kind of a victim. Oh, we constantly focus on, this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. Right.
Yes.
What was me?
Right. Yeah.
But just making it real and focusing in on it is what we need to do first. But not give it too much attention, because once we have made it understood where the reality is, then we can shift our thinking to what am I going to make happen from here? Because now we're taking our power back. Now we're saying, you know what? This situation happened.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was an unforeseen occurrence. It wasn't something I planned for. Stuff happens. Life lives on every day, and there's situations and circumstances that we don't expect that come up. How are we going to manage them? It's by dealing with what the reality is and then creating what we want to happen moving forward, making sure that we're focusing in on how we can turn that situation around, not being overwhelmed, but focusing on how we can overcome.
Absolutely. And there's a reason why the windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror. And that's just the way it is. And when you said shift, and I'm being very professional, audience, but I'm a wordsmith. That's what you're going to get with Jody's my name and health is my game. Okay. I love this. The shift is so important, because there is just a little bit of difference with the word shift. And you take the F out of there and oops.
Yep.
And and so which do you want? We only talk about the SHIT when we're talking about health coach. You don't want that in your life. So I wanted to put a little humor in there for really, and that is for really, really real. And it is just that feeling of that you can realize what you've got, have the emotional intelligence of this happened to me, and then move forward. And so I bet you there's a lot of gooiness in there about how you came up. I'd never heard this before in my 67 years, Kavette. Financial liberation consultant. What a great word picture of your title, because that's what you do. Audience, you can see how she educates people. So give us some of your other liberating just tidbits from that major league, not Kavette minor Kane, but Kavette major Kane. Give us some major league ideas.
Absolutely. Well, this came from the personal experience of what happened to me, that I experienced 3 major tragedies in less than 3 years. So in September of 2017, I survived Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And then in 2018, in December, my father passed away. And so that was another tragedy for me. And then not long after that, in April of 2019, my husband and I separated. And so, and just recently completed that divorce. And so having those 3 major traumas, as I recognize that they are reality, it's a trauma because of the grief, because of the loss in each one of those situations, I had to take some time to heal. And it going through that process for me meant self-examination and realizing, what had happened to me, and then making that choice of deciding what I was going to do moving forward, which for me meant rebuilding my financial business. And so that's where the financial liberation expert comes from, because through my own experience, I've been able to figure it out. To figure out what are the real steps that people need to take in order to rebuild their financial lives. And it's not just about some textbook, what do you do? It's about how do you do it? And we talked about this before because it's so essential. And I take a different perspective on coaching and consulting, because what I've seen is that there's a lot of folks who will give you information and say, okay, go ahead and do what you want to do with it. But I don't believe in that. I don't.
Whatever.
I'm a mom. Mom. Yeah. I've raised 2 children. And so through that process, I was conscious about, or I exhibited conscious competence and paying attention to the things that I learned or was teaching my kids, and what I learned in the process of teaching them so that I could share with others. And so in that situation, or, making that comparison, what stands out to me is that working with people in any coaching arena kind of means like you're working with an infant, because you're working with someone who doesn't have a clue. They don't know yet until you teach them and until you show them. And so it's just like when a child is learning how to walk. Initially they're crawling around and they're looking at everybody around them, walking, and they're like, I want to do that, and so they look up at you as mama, and they reach out their hand and they're like, hey, can you help me? That's kind of like having a client reach out to you and say, hey, I see these people walking tall around me. I want to do that too. Can you help me? And Beautiful. So when they come to me for that help, what I do is the same thing I did with my children. I reach out and I hold their hand. I hold their hand in that process until they're able to get strong enough legs that they're able to walk on their own. And I still continue to hold their hand for a little while. And then after they're able to, because see what a child will do when they learn how to walk, every mom knows, once they get a good footing, they're gone. You better watch.
I'm out of here and never to be caught again.
Yes. They're going to get into everything they possibly can. And sometimes they will fall again and need your assistance in getting back up. But that's what coaching is all about. That's what consulting is all about for me, and being able to work with my clients to hold their hand, to educate them and to guide them. But every child yeah, absolutely. And every child gets to the point where they're able to walk on their own and they don't need to hold your hand anymore. That's the whole point. You coach them until they're able to stand on their feet, to walk tall and strong on their own. And then you provide the support for them so that if they do fall, they can come back and get the support that they need, dust their knees off, put a little Band-Aid on the boo-boo, clean it up, and send them off on their way. That's when you do the little steps. But there's an understanding that there is a process that needs to be had. And what I recognize is that where finance is concerned, people have experienced so much financial trauma that they don't even understand the emotions that are going through their decisions.
It's like abuse. It's like checking account and credit card abuse. I mean, isn't it? Seriously.
Yeah, it is seriously.
And the thing about holding the hand, and you have such an amazing gift, Kavette, to paint those word pictures, because now everybody, you don't have to be afraid. You can just take the hand. And I know that you've got, I want to just spend the next 5 or so minutes to wrap up here and just say, I know you have much advice and much wisdom and much expertise, and then the degrees will fall. But I want to be with somebody who has expertise, not only personally and professionally, and you are living, breathing proof of that, Kavette. So what advice would you give our audience on if they just wanted to be liberated in this financial pillar? Other than the $1 a day, which is great, is there anything else that just wells up in your heart and spirit that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a free ebook that I can offer from my website. They can check out the website above my head. That's morelife.com. Is a place to start, because the first thing you want to do is exactly what I talked about, being able to reflect on your feelings and your thoughts around, where is your mindset and how have you already been managing your money? There's 5 areas that I look at on both sides of the coin. So in terms of mindset, we're looking at mental mindset, your emotional mindset, your spiritual mindset, your physical mindset, as well as your financial mindset. And that is talking about first getting together your budget. Okay. Now, on the other side of the coin, beyond the budget, then we're talking about looking at your credit management, your cash flow management, your savings management, your insurance management, and your investment management. How are you managing your money? Yeah, in each one of those areas, so that you're able to have a solid foundation, but also build up the walls and then put on the roof to your financial house.
Well, and Kavette, I always just see Bo Derek being from Florida, running on the beach and being a perfect 10. Okay, Kavette has just told us how to be a perfect 10, because these 5 and these 5 make you a perfect 10. So I want to just reiterate this for our audience. It is a Marimor Life, MARIMOR Life.com, where you can get that ebook. Also, Kavette, I wanted to just say briefly, you've got an online event coming up, I believe sometime in June. You want to give our audience a little tickler about it? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, I will speak first about my event coming up on May 1st. I host a seminar once a month on the first Saturday of every month. It is the Good Retire Seminar. It is Get Out of Debt and Retire Tax-Free. And so they can find out more information about that on my website as well. In that seminar, I go through those 10 areas, and we're able to identify, what are they able to do in terms of managing their money and being conscious of how money works, as well as being able to understand how they are putting their money together, or how they're able to put their money together for growing in the future, because retirement is a big deal. I'm going to tell you why, especially for women. Okay. There's a statistic that I found that really burns me up. And I say that in the sense that it's fire, and I'm going with it, because I recognize what a need it is for us to be financially conscious. Okay. The statistic that I found was from mint.com, and they did actually, I think the Worthy research is what was done. Worthy research shows that less than 15% of women are actually thinking about what they're going to do for retirement.
15%.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that they have a plan. That means that they're thinking about it.
And what do we get from thinking about it? Just a whole lot of thinking. And then June, you've got something on the 1st of June as well.
No, I do actually on June 19th. I'm planning to do a workshop that's going to be a global workshop, and we're calling it the Worldwide Wellness and Wealth, Worldwide Women's Wellness and Wealth. And because what we're doing in that workshop is we're going to focus on, again, those 10 areas to highlight each one of them and to go more in depth about, both the mindset as well as the money management, and being able to assign even to each attendee a personal consultant, so that they will be able to take advantage of having an opportunity to be coached by someone, not to just know what to do, but to guide them through the process of how to do it. Absolutely.
How to do it. Hold the hands. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is, yes, Kavette Minor. I'm going to call her, and you're always going to say Kavette Major League Kane. Major League Kane with a bachelor's and a CFEICEIP. Just look at me, Kavette. She is the bomb, a financial liberation expert, yes, and the president and CEO, author extraordinaire. I can't wait to hear you talk about opportunity for your 5 to 7 minute segment at our Hope Seminar, because you give it all. You really do give people hope, but it's Marimor Life, MARIMOR life.com. And you can call or text Kavette at 301-583-6212. It's 301-583-6212. But this is what I know, Kavette, she always gives out more than you absolutely expect. Kavette, in the short time that we just had this meeting on Clubhouse, it has been just my honor and privilege to get to know you and how you work and how you are being in the world of life. Because Kavette Kane, money is her game. Through emotional, mental, and well-being, those aspects, she helps provide the financial habits for continued success, and you know the rest. So, Kavette, thank you for being our guest on Building Fortunes podcast. See us back at 8:30 Eastern. Then we have Take Two. How about you? We always have to do a doubleheader with us on Sunday night, and I can truthfully say it has been my honor and privilege to have you here. If that's my new word, see, it's honor and privilege, which means it's a privilege and a pleasure. It kind of comes all together. Privilege, it's my new word, okay? Because what we know, to be the best that you can be, just hang around people like Kavette and health coach Jody. Jody is my name, but health is my game. And back to you, Peter.
Great information. I can't wait to hear more about this. Make sure we check her out. We're short on time. We're going to be back on the radio show on buildingfortunesradio.com. Jody, Kavette, thanks so much. And we're going to catch you